Chapter 1. I am Carl, and I'm a alcoholic addict among so many other things in my life. And my sobriety day is August 22nd, 2014, and you are?
I'm Lindsey. I'm an alcoholic and a mermaid undercover. And my sobriety date is September 6th, 2015.
And this is SoberPod.
Soberpod.com. Yeah, SoberPod, keep it authentic, no facades. If it's real, then you know it's ours. Welcome.
So SoberPod is a podcast dedicated to the idea that one addict or alcoholic helping another is crucial to building a life in recovery. Join us this season as we read from our books, 366 Effing Days Sober, which I'm kind of tired of reading my own book, but but if you would like to read it, you can go to soberpod.com and find links from there to buy the book. It's also available. It's available on Amazon. It is physical, you can get it there as well as digital. And if you're part of Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free, basically. And then Lindsey's book is The Spirit Vigilante, or Spirit Vigilante, and you can get her book. Look, she's holding it up for us. And you can get her book by going to thespiриtvigilante.com. And of course, her book is also available on Amazon, as well as in digital, as well as on Kindle Unlimited. That's actually how I read it, because I have Kindle Unlimited. Yay! So good morning, children. How are we doing today?
It's a lovely day in the neighborhood.
Lindsey, how you doing? You doing all right?
I'm doing great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a great weekend. How about you?
I have been able to find ways away from the toilet, which have been awesome. So if you guys weren't listening, previous episode, towards the end, I think I talked about having bladder cancer, and it sucks, but yeah, it's gotten a lot better within like since we last talked. It has gotten tremendously better, but still, I got issues. It's like when I pee, I still have like spasms in my hooey, which is really weird. So it's like I have to look while I'm peeing to see if it's white or yellow, just because I don't know if I'm coming or going. And it just like the spasms feel a little close to like orgasm, but not totally there. Just the physical sensation.
Whoa,
not
so
the
you
whole
really
sensation.
meant coming or going. Okay.
So it's a little strange sensation, just saying. I know I'm not coming, but it definitely feels like, whoa, like what's going on there? Hey, it's got some activity down there that I'm not used to. So, but yeah, it should get better. It should improve, and I should.
Thanks
have
for
less
catching
spasms.
us up.
You're welcome. But I'm in good spirits, much better spirits than last time, by the way.
Yes, you are.
Just saying. So, Lindsey, I think what we wanted to treat the children with in terms of recovery and sobriety is a little bit more of your book. We talk a lot about my stupid book a lot, the 366 effing days of stupid sobriety, or effing days sober.
It's not stupid.
But there is your book, which is kind of harder to do sometimes, right? It's like, you have you have the long story, which is like so good to get involved with. So what I thought we should do is to read basically a part of, chapter 1, at the beginning of chapter 1 from your book, and then stop at a certain point and just have you fill us in a little bit more from there in your own words, and talk about your experience as it relates to what we just read. Are you down with that?
I'm so down.
Are you pumped? Do you mind if I read it?
I would love for you to read it. And if you need...
I'm a terrible reader, though. I suck at it. I really do. So if I mess it up, please forgive me.
Well, I can read it too if you want to switch off. I mean...
No, I want to go for the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you pumped?
I am pumped.
Let the healing begin. All right, everybody, this is from Lindsey's book, The Spirit Vigilante, from chapter 1. And I'm just going to read this because I just think it's so fun. Her experience going to the doctor and her background leading into her recovery. I just think it's got a lot of relatable experience in here that I think that you will also enjoy. So please sit back for the next few minutes as we read from Lindsey's book, The Spirit Vigilante. All right, here it is. It says, notice is a verb. It's the word notice. It's chapter 1. To observe or pay attention to something. I notice that the trees are beginning to blossom. I sat in the waiting room of the stale, drab, fluorescent-lit psychiatrist office, anxiously pecking at my phone. At the ripe old age of 25, it wasn't my first time in the mental health treatment landscape, and it wouldn't be my last. I had been seeing Dr. G for several months now, and our sessions were short. He asked about my symptoms, my mood, any side effects with the meds, the usual interrogation. In truth, I wasn't regularly taking the medication he prescribed. Oh, isn't that funny? And due to my fragile mental state, overlapping with the drinking, overlapping with the marijuana, overlapping with my chaotic behavior, I lacked any awareness of the effect they were having. At least I felt better knowing I was doing something about my issues. More importantly, as this appointment was precipitated by a bad drinking episode, it got my boyfriend off my back. The Sunday prior, I had arrived at Savannah's, a local dive bar in the suburbs of Maryland, just after 11 o'clock in the morning, and ordered a bucket of long-neck Bud Lights. I was there to watch the football game and meet up with Jim, a man twice my age. We were both regulars. At this point, that was my idea of a friendship. I accepted all shots offered to me. Who doesn't? Especially Fireball whiskey. I loved how the combination of sweet cinnamon and pungent alcohol burned my throat. The day became blurry, and by early afternoon, some dude wanted me to leave the bar with him. My beer goggles could make anyone look like Bradley Cooper, and my drunken brain would convince me they were the one, and they clearly thought I was too. Why else would they be so kind as to invite me into their home? I started to follow him outside. Jim did not approve and came after us. I later learned that he kicked the entrance door down in the process. He yelled and threw my keys across the parking lot, which had been in his pocket because he didn't want me to drive. The next memory I have is of sitting in the passenger seat of an unfamiliar car. I looked to my left. The bartender, Carrie, was staring back at me with her sweet big blue eyes. Where is the next turn? Oh, I just up this way? My words sounded sloppy in my mouth. I remember little else about that ride except that it was still light outside, and she took the street that runs parallel to the train tracks. I stumbled into my house and sat on the floor. I was wearing a light pink shirt and turquoise block lettering that read 90210 on top of a black and white picture of Luke Perry. I love this. The neck was cut out, so it fell off my shoulders as I laid on the ground, staring up at the ceiling. Ben, my boyfriend at the time, I love that you have a boyfriend at the time too. Ben, my boyfriend at the time, was in the living room playing FIFA. He just sat there holding his controller and watched me for a few minutes. Where were you? I was at the bar with Jim. Who even is that? I sighed, annoyed. He's friend with Sam. You know Jim. You know Jim. We all have a Jim. Sam was my crush. Sam was my crush who lived across the street. This was all very healthy. Ben walked away, and I stayed on the ground. A few minutes later, he came back and said, Lindsey, you're an alcoholic. It's getting really bad. You need help. Dude, you're being a drama queen, I thought to myself. I sat in the chair across from Dr. G with my hands folded. I hated these types of offices. No desk between you and the practitioner. All that separated us was hollow air, as if we were having a casual conversation at a cocktail party, waiting for someone to grace us with their, what is it, eau d'oeuvres. How do you say this?
Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres. I can't even read that. Hors d'oeuvres tray. He looked down at his clipboard, and how much are you drinking? Oh, only the weekends still. I hope that's what I told him the last time. I was having a hard time keeping up with my lies. He looked at me with a blank stare and sighed, and how much are you drinking on the weekends? If I had to come up with an average, Friday and Saturday night, about 5 drinks each, so 10 drinks a week, right? It seemed like a reasonable number since he already knew I was a drinker. not so low to be recognized as a flat out lie, not too high to cause alarm. It was probably less than a quarter of the volume of alcohol I was actually consuming on a regular basis. I rolled my shoulders back and held my head up high, a false air of confidence. Dr. G stood up, an intimidating 6-foot frame towering over me. His eyes drifted away. I can't see you anymore. He turned away from me and walked to his desk on the other side of the room. What? I must have misheard him. Even with his back turned, his exasperation was clear. You won't stop drinking. You can't drink on these medications. You're a liability. Every appointment you come back here and you tell me that you're still getting drunk. I don't understand. I'm not even drinking that much. He turned around and I sat doe-eyed. Yes, you are. What you are describing is called binge drinking. I quickly realized he wasn't going to budge. I stood, the top of my head the top of my head even reached his shoulders, and I looked up at his graying beard and eyeglasses with black thick frames, kind of how I look. You're going to stop seeing me because I'm too fucked up? What kind of doctor does that? What is wrong with you? It didn't cross my mind that his level of appall to my obvious lie or actual alcohol consumption might be a problem. Dr. G's voice and inflection didn't waver. He maintained his composure as he said, I had a patient die last summer and you are too high of a risk. You have bipolar disorder, so you shouldn't be drinking at all. You are on several medications that are unsafe to combine with alcohol. You're a liability. Find another doctor. The end.
Mic drop.
The end. Lindsey, I am so curious about this. For one, I need to learn how to spell hors d'oeuvres. I need to pronounce hors d'oeuvre. So just to get the record straight here, you're going to a bar. Well, first of all, you're at a doctor's office, and at this time in your life, he's kind of giving you the basic quizzes, and you're failing miserably. But at that time, you're actually like, part of your experience is like to go out with strangers that you really don't even know that well, dudes like twice your age, to get a bucket of beers like in the afternoon, and then by evening you're ready. Some dude wants to take you home, and you're halfway in a car, and you're blacking out basically. And by this time, the bartender has taken you home to your boyfriend, which I really love. The fact that you have now, you basically are engaging with two dudes on a Friday, and then the bartender basically has to kind of guide you home to your boyfriend, who is barely going to take care of you because he's too involved in his FIFA to really give a fuck. And the next thing you know, you're kind of in the middle of this while you it's kind of reflective as you sit there with the therapist, and he's basically going to shit can you as a patient because you're just too fucking unruly to have in his presence. He wants nothing to do with you. Lindsey, I have been a fuck up in my life. I have made it to the therapist office, the psychoanalyst office, and at no time, yes, I was kicked out of treatment when I was 15. There was that, but I have never been refused a level of care that you have been refused. How did that fucking feel? What was that like?
One of my very proud of that accomplishment. First of all, no, it was really an interesting experience having you read it back to me. I've never listened to my words in that way. So thank you. In the moment I was mad, it didn't take much to make me mad those days. It didn't take much to make me feel like a victim. And so for me, it really just validated this inner narrative that I had of me just being too damaged, too broken, beyond control. So now I'm even too messed up for the psychiatric professionals.
Does that give you more excuse to go drink or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was just
so that wasn't like a bottom. That it goes further from there clearly. But
No, I just thought he was an unreasonable doctor. And
Dr.
like,
G, that fucktard.
yeah, I'm like, his life must be so boring if he thinks that 5 drinks is that big of a deal, right?
5
that just,
drinks, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That just seemed like nothing to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just getting started. I'll have 5 drinks before I even leave my house, right?
Yeah.
At that point. So, yeah, for me, it was just this, it's confirmation bias. It's, I'm only going to take in the evidence that confirms whatever schema and mental model I had at the time, which was
whatever justifies your ability to continue doing what you're doing, you're just going to do that. Like that, I totally understand that. Yeah.
And I just saw a doctor that happened to be really strict. It didn't have anything to do with my behavior, right? Just like when I got my DUI, I was just unlucky. Everyone drinks and drives. I just was
you're
in
just
the wrong
a bad
place at
driver.
the
You're
wrong
just a
time.
bad driver. You're not
right.
It's so funny. I love people like when I meet them and they're like, they're like, oh yeah, I just got a DUI. I was going down. I should have gone down Main Street or whatever. And they always justify it like, and they're like 5 minutes into their story. And I always love to remind them, though, it's like, but you were drinking first, right? Yeah.
I have news.
Like,
you can't, no matter what you do, like not turning on your blinker, swerving, hitting the median. This is an epiphany for you. You can't get a DUI unless you're drinking.
Yeah. Wow.
driving.
Crazy, right? Yeah. It's not the cop was a dick. It's not that you took left instead of right. It's not that, blah, blah, blah. So
it's not like you were driving the car instead of your boyfriend and leaving half-price wine night.
So let me just say, kudos to you for getting driven around while you're drunk. That's wonderful. Kudos to you. Your keys were thrown at you, but you didn't drive that day, right? You didn't do it?
No, I didn't drive home. And then I couldn't find my car the next morning because someone else had dropped it off at the wrong house. Like, no, but you know what, Carl? That, as you were reading that wasn't an atypical morning day for me. Like, I have story upon story. That's just one that I picked out.
Yeah.
That was happening every weekend in some way, shape, or form. Right.
Yeah. When I was younger and not married, I definitely had every time I left the bar, if we would go to an after party or a house or whatever, I would be naked, half naked by the time I got there. Cause that was my nickname. My nickname was Naked. Cause like, people give me they're like, oh, Carl, which Carl? Naked Carl. Like that's literally how they describe it.
That's so good.
Yeah. So
can your memoir be called Naked Carl?
Funny. Hot Carl is really no. Anyway, so I totally understand like that kind of like I love that experience too. By the way, I just thought it was wonderful. I just thought it was part of like how we operated. Right. I didn't understand like that couldn't happen every night of my life either. Right. Like you run out and you burn out pretty quickly and pretty hard on that stuff, which is probably good for some of us, but. The fact that I'm still alive or don't have some, lethal contagious disease is kind of beyond me, right? So like I like talk about feeling lucky, So and again, and I don't have bipolar, but I got whatever other things going on. So I don't know your experience there. Can you talk to me a little bit about how that impacts you or how it impacted you during your drinking and how that worked? Like how different was it from the average drinker now that you're on another side of it?
It's a really good question. I mean, bipolar disorder is comorbid with so many other conditions. And I was diagnosed when I was 18. And I believe that I didn't know how to handle that roller coaster of emotions and didn't have any skills or coping mechanisms. And so that drinking just kind of like, what do I do with these emotions that can be really extreme, good or bad? And drinking helped to like subdue them in a way. And just, it's like not even, it's so hard. Everything just blurs together. Like I can't even identify what the problems were, why I was drinking or why I was doing what I was doing. I just couldn't be in my own body and mind. And I
Yeah.
just had to change it. Like I just had to change how I felt is really what it comes down to when you take away all the labels.
Well, I guess we're all bipolar then.
Yeah. And like, I think labels can be a little bit limiting, but I just wanted to name that because of the outside issues that a lot of drinkers experience.
Yeah.
And
I got my own. Complex PTSD is kind of part of that as well. It comes with its own danger zones, that's for sure. It's so funny. I was talking to my therapist the other day, and she was like she's trying to kind of like lead me down a diagnosis line, and she was like, so when you were younger, you felt like you couldn't sit still. I just like, maybe you had trouble concentrating, like I'm like, bitch, yes, I have ADHD. Shut the fuck up.
To me, something that I do want to say, and this might be in the literature somewhere, I can't remember, but I really wanted to know why I drank, or, the chicken or the egg. Like, was my bipolar disorder fueling my drinking? Was my drinking making my bipolar disorder worse? And, we can certainly, I'm very introspective and psychoanalytical, and so we can certainly go down that path, but do not let that deter you from taking action to get better, right? Like somewhere I read, if you're on fire, you're not trying to figure out what started the fire. You're just trying to put the fire out, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so I just say that to be like, I just wanted to figure it out so bad. I wanted to figure myself out so badly before I did anything. And it's like, you can figure that out along the way, but first just try to get better. Like, what do you want to experience rather than treating or managing your X diagnosis?
So this episode with your psychiatrist, did it help you to like get past that? Was this like one of those things? Was this like another, like, a brick in the wall of your bottom? You know what I mean?
Did it, when you say get past that, like get past the denial?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
No.
Did it help you get closer to your understanding that you were like, was this just like reinforcing like your denial behavior?
Yeah, just reinforcing it. And like I said, I'm messed up. All hope is lost anyway, so let's just run it into the ground.
And this dude's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
So then after you get sober, you recall this as like this is kind of average behavior, right? You're like, oh, I need to describe how my life was, and this pretty much encompasses like
yes.
that.
I don't even think it planted a seed.
It's just another fucking day in life.
Just
right?
an unfortunate, event. Just
like
among many.
Another time some fucking asshole tells me I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
like
great.
Confirm what I already know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess, looking back on it, like what is your, what's the lesson in that? What is like, so if you were going to tell somebody like, hey, if this is your average life, this is how you're living, say another female, for instance, like, with again, who's picking up a lot of Bradley Coopers at her local fucking, watering hole. Like, what would you tell that woman who's also got a boyfriend at home playing FIFA?
Is that not chaotic?
Yeah.
And I was also had a crush on my neighbor, which
Jim,
I said
was it Jim?
who lived across the street. Jim was just friends with Sam.
Oh,
these
okay,
are all fake
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
But I was using Jim
To get
for
to Sam.
Sam to hear about me
Sure.
because Sam and I weren't talking.
Oh,
Just
three guys on an average Friday. Okay.
I can't, and that sounds bad. Luckily, I will say for some reason, someone was looking out for me in those situations because I rarely did. Like, I am very fortunate to say I rarely I don't think I ever woke up in somebody's bed. Like, what did I do? I don't know why. I somehow was rescued by like that bartender and other, maybe. I don't know why. But so when you say three guys on an average Friday, I just want make sure that's
oh no,
clear.
yeah, no, you're not. You're
Not that there's
engaging.
anything wrong with that or any judgment, but for some reason, and I'm not saying I'm above doing that. It just wasn't my experience.
Lindsey, okay,
so-
my record is, two girls in one day.
Yeah,
so
and I applaud you.
Yeah,
I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Naked Carl.
I mean,
if you're
let's
naked,
be fair, Lindsey. I was a
chances
slut.
are
Let's not
greater.
say. Let's not get it wrong. Like I want to say it straight out. I was a slut as well. Like there's no
Okay.
doubt about it. In my single life, if it wasn't for my wife, I would be dead. There's no doubt about that. So of many different things, and I would have caused much more damage. So I feel very, very blessed to have her interrupt that part of my life, right? Because I was reckless, man. And I was a huge slut, and I could, who knows where it would have taken me. So yeah,
I was a more like make out with somebody on the dance floor, even if it's my best friend's boyfriend type of girl.
But as far as you were concerned, it was Bradley Cooper.
Correct.
Yeah. Totally understandable. I would probably make out with Bradley Cooper. I'm just saying.
What was the question?
The question is like, what would you tell somebody who's had a familiar,
right.
similar experience, and maybe they're still a little bit in denial about their exciting lifestyle, or the chaos that is surrounding that. Maybe they haven't been fired by their psychiatrist yet and are about to be. What would you tell that person?
I'm struggling with that because I don't know if anyone could have told me anything that I would have been receptive to at that moment without me thinking they were just lame. And I want to say to anyone listening, even if it's only your unconscious mind grasping this and you can't believe it right now where you are at a conscious level, that type of attention, that type of instant gratification, whether it's a guy looking you at a bar or a guy inviting you home or any of these, your neighbor having a crush on your neighbor, like that is not what life is about. And there's so much more. I realized I wasn't growing in bars in those situations. I was regressing. I was getting more and more confused about myself. My self-worth was decreasing and decreasing because that's not a sustainable way to validate and affirm your level of self-worth. So it might feel good in the moment. It might feel that approval, whatever you're seeking isn't really what you're seeking. That's not really what's filling you up. So, and there's no really way to convey that message and that feeling unless you just try it and trust what other people say. So,
there's a saying like, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. Right. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's so funny because it's like you have, in your situation, you have whatever Jim,
yeah.
and it's like, even in your writing, you say like, he's not really my friend. I just, he's just a drinking buddy. Right.
What do Jim and I have in common? Come on.
Dude, twice your age, and again, and all he wants to do is get laid. I mean, that's really about it. Fucking, Jim is just another distraction in the universe. Same with Sam, and I'm sure same with your FIFA boyfriend or whatever. The fact is like, it goes, by the way, it goes with the writing in my book today. Do you want to hear it? February 2nd.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Please.
February 2nd, making friends in recovery. Look at that. In recovery, so as an adult, this is a tough one. We weren't the best, at making friends in our drinking and drug careers. Maybe it was our inability to connect with others on deeper levels, or perhaps we were just too fucking selfish. Either way, this can be a real problem in recovery that can impact your mental condition. There is one tried and true rule to help in this process. To have good friends, you must be a good friend. This is not a one-way street. Suppose you are still acting out, buying drinks at a bar, for instance, for Jim, being a jerk, feeling superior to others, and just being an outright dick. In that case, you are not being friendly. How will you ever make friends with those attitudes or under those conditions? Reflections. When was the last time you tried to make friends with somebody? And then how did that go? Daily challenge. Call another person in recovery. Just check in. So, when you're talking about sitting in that bar with frickin', Jim or whatever, it's like, I just go like, again, you said you felt like you were regressing, you're surrounding around these people that clearly were not helping you progress to any different level. And even when you go to seek help, right, you can't because you have no understanding and no context for what is true or false or good or bad. You just know what you know. So you just walk into another situation. Trying to even seek help is almost impossible because you just don't know the truth from the false most of the time. I know I didn't. My reality is like my world is my fucking world and everybody else can just fuck off. Especially towards the end. I thought I was handling and coping in ways in which I knew how to. Right? You were doing the same thing, right? It's just different ways, right?
We really did and I believe everyone out there is doing the best with what they have in the moment, right? I really, truly believe that. Like, I was using whatever was around me to make me feel good about myself. And that's all I knew or all I let myself know at the time. And like, I love how you bring up friendship because I was just thinking, like, I really value our friendship, you and me, and the things that we talk about. This wouldn't have happened unless I thought that there was you had some interest in me that
something more to offer that
beyond friendship or some way you could make me feel better about myself. Then there's not really a reason for us to talk. Because like we both, like now we have so many interests in philosophies and we can have these smart conversations. That wasn't happening before.
Yeah,
nor did I have any interest in it.
I have a sponsee I talked to. It was the beginning of a good stand-up routine almost. It's like, I was talking to this sponsee and I was talking to him about like, engaging with other people in a way that, you can, you basically like you both get something out of it. Like, when you make somebody else laugh and it's not at anybody else's expense, when you both laugh, it's like a really, a shared laughter. And like, when you go out or when you whatever, you're looking to give and take. And it's so funny. I was just like, and I was talking about having relationships with the opposite sex. Right. And I was just like, so in this way, it's like, gosh, it's just like, when I say, oh yeah, you're really just getting to know him without fucking him. Like it was like, I was like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like you really
that's so interesting.
And it was just such a guy thing to say. And I was like, oh yeah. Oh, it's also known as being a friend. Like, you know what I mean?
So funny different. You say that because my therapist, I remember telling him that I like only had guy friends and couldn't make friends with girls. And he's like, well, besides like the physical component, can't you talk to girls about the same things you talk to guys about? And I just couldn't even fathom that. And if someone was married or in a relationship, great. That means if they give me attention, that's how good I am.
Yeah, because I'm risking their fucking experience. Yeah. Look how hot I am because they're risking their fucking.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like I must be. Yeah.
Well, again, that is part of the ism. That is like, again, outside fixes to an inside job. Right? It's living from the outside in rather than living from the inside out. Right? You're not giving anything. You're just taking at all ends. Right? So whether that's taking alcohol, taking attention, sex, relationships, whatever, doesn't matter. The fact is that's just all part of the ism. Like we need to fill our hole with outside things in order to continue to exist in the world. And it fucking sucks, but we don't see it. right? Because we think that all this filling works on some level, and it does work on some level, right? But it's never fulfilling. It fills, but it's never totally fulfilling. And that's why it's like, your story is very, from a female perspective, by the way, it's really neat because guys, we don't really get attention like that. That's just not how it works. Like, we just, because, unless, maybe we're gay or something, you know what I mean? Like, but then just to get that kind of like attention from another person, it's just really, unless you're super uber good looking and you got a lot to offer in that way. Like, it's just, unless I'm Bradley Cooper.
Or unless I'm at the bar with you.
I suppose there is that too, right? Believe me, I've come across a few girls just like you, and I mean that literally.
It's a dime a dozen. And it's nothing about me. It is nothing. It's a dime a dozen. It is not about me.
Lindsey, I'm so glad you just missed my joke. I just said I have come across a lot of girls just like you, and I said literally and figuratively. Sorry. You get it now. There you go. Ta-da! Lindsey's there. Okay. Bad jokes.
Good. That was
Bad
good.
Jokes.
That was good.
So I guess I'm, the only advice that I can give for people who are like, like me in that way, I got attention otherwise, I got bad attention, right? Like I would seek, I would cause trouble. I would, be rude or outlandish or say, rude and raw shit. You know what I mean? I would just, be blatantly fucking honest with somebody. And, again, even the cussing that I just did is part of that, right? It's all part of the attention seeking. And, kind of projecting my behavior there. So, the only thing I can say is like, really down, and I think you get into it after this read on your stuff, is like you talk about self-awareness, you talk about getting into understanding yourself better in order to operate in the world better. And again, it's this notice behavior. That's why the chapter starts off with notice, right? Because you have to begin to identify these things, putting people in your way, right? New friends, new locations, new scenarios. Not just the bars and those kinds of things. You have to make a commitment to do that stuff, and you have to make a lifelong commitment in order to be set on like a trajectory of, awareness and growth, and and being able to, find the person that you were always supposed to be in this scenario. And it's tough and it's hard, and you want to revert and you want to go back to the old behaviors, to go back to the things that worked, and go back to getting attention, and maybe I'll just act out and say some outlandish shit in this meeting to make everybody laugh because I'm feeling less than right now, right? Or in a girl's case, I'll wear my cleavage a little bit more lower just so everybody will fucking notice, right? But either way, you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me though.
Well, people can go check you out on YouTube in order to see your lack of cleavage, by all means.
Thank you.
But you know what I'm saying, though. Like, again,
I do.
Whether it be acting out and getting guys' attention or whatever, it's really hard to not do those things. The hardest part is about approaching yourself. And that, again, is we're talking about living from the outside in to the inside out. And when you have to start living from the inside out, it becomes a different scenario. You learn how to operate very differently in your environments. And again, talking about the friendships things, it's like I didn't have any friends towards the end. I had none. Acquiring new friends was very hard, and it still is hard for me to like maintain friendships and to not be a selfish prick and to call people when I don't want to, and to not isolate and do all those things that I would love to continue to do, but it keeps me trapped in my ism when I do that shit, and when I don't have somebody that I can call on and check heads with and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and they say, hey, that sounds pretty crazy, you should not do that,
Yeah.
It's like, so what about you? Like, how did you turn around? Like, just to kind of wrap it up without telling the whole story. I mean, yeah, people go by the fucking book so you get the whole story, but how, in the end, like, what was your solution to all that chaos and madness? Where did it ride for you?
I do want to say one thing. just to backtrack a bit. And I remember it might have been last week or a couple weeks ago, we're talking about the physical repercussions of the disease and things that you're still dealing with.
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of put it out there as a cautionary tale for women of I don't know if I want to say emotional repercussions I still deal with, but like just in this conversation, I got a flashback of me. I had invited someone to my house. It was my little sister, which at that time, was the 4 years different, was significant because we were younger. My little sister's best friend's ex-boyfriend, I had somehow run into at some bar, invited him back to my house. And I don't know how he figured out that I had a boyfriend, but something, he was like, wait, you have a boyfriend? And I was like, yeah, that doesn't matter. Because we were living together. And I just remember like trying to make out with him on the street right in front of my house, and him saying to me, I don't think this is right. Like, I had a girlfriend cheat on me in the past, and this just isn't right. I'm going to go. And
you were like, you motherfucking mirror.
And I'm just, that's really embarrassing.
Yeah.
To have my little sister's, friend's ex-boyfriend tell me he wasn't even in a relationship, but he's telling me, I don't think this is right because you have a boyfriend you live with, by the way. I did not know that upon agreeing to come back to your house with you. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say those moments and those flashbacks don't go away. And I don't sit here living in regret. I'm just telling you, and I still live in the same area. I still talk to the same people. There's a lot of people that know me as that. No, more people know me as that than don't, or that know me now. And it just sticks with you. So I just want to say the less incidents that you can have like that, the better. And I just don't want people to think because I live differently now that there's no repercussions to that behavior.
Totally.
So for what that's worth. And so your question now is kind of high level view of how things turned around.
Yeah, what was the
why
process?
I'm not that way now.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously go read the books. There's a lot that happened. But if I'm trying to give like a 30,000 foot view of it all, I had to get, and I think right after this section that you read or shortly after is, I say self-exploration is the antidote to denial. And I had to get really real with myself of these things aren't making me feel good. This isn't who I am. And if you have just one flash of that, of this isn't who I am, and you know that that voice is real amid all of the other voices that are telling me I'm a piece of trash. I need this guy to tell me I'm pretty to feel good. I need to drink this drink. I need to smoke. Like all of those impulsive, high volume voices. If there's just one little quiet voice that you know is the real one within you, even just for a second, a glimmer, please trust and listen to that and see where that takes you. Pull that thread and see if there could be a better way, because there is.
Yeah,
and it came with me being open-minded enough to then listen to the next health professional. So.
In your book, you actually give some, like at the end of everything, you give some practical advice. You talk about, kind of like moments of meditation. Especially this chapter, you talk about, just again getting into meditation, see what comes up. You'll also give like another timetable, right? To like see
very hands-on.
Yeah, to feel like like kind of doing like a feelings checker for how you feel at certain times of the day and trying to be more mindful about those types of things. So I think it's really interesting, and you talk about, certain times a day and how you feel as those things come up. How did that stuff come up for you? Like, is that something that you used as a tool in your process of recovery?
I did, not in this organized of a way, but I remember writing a lot and kind of having this conversation with myself so let's say, in my book, it's certain behavior. So checking yourself a few times a day. For example, let's say the habit is smoking cigarettes. So for me, let's say the habit is codependency or needing validation from a guy. It might be like, when am I texting that person that I know isn't good for me, just for an instant, like, ego stroke hit?
Yeah.
How does that make me feel? What are the patterns? When am I doing this? Is it when I'm drunk? Okay, that might be an indicator. And I remember that's something my therapist, once I started listening to people who could help me, was like, I'm noticing that these chaotic stories that you're telling me happen when you're drinking. Like, do you think that could be? So really just, it's when I feel lonely, it's when I feel bored, it's when I'm at work, and that's why, because I didn't have a map or tool like this at the time and was kind of doing it in a piecemeal way, I really offer, if you want to get straight to it and you're done with this stuff, get honest. There's literally like a table that you can start tracking these things. And it takes honesty. It takes looking at some hard things. And at the same time, you need to change, as Carl Rogers says, the great paradox of change is you must first accept yourself as you are before you can change. So that's the acceptance. Where am I now? And that's why my first chapter says, don't change anything. Do what you do. So if I were telling my younger self this, go to the bar, text the guy, and just notice how it feels. Notice truly what's coming up for you. So that's kind of the practical way I would say to start.
Or just like me, just stay at home and drink it out until you start shitting blood, and then it becomes...
Or just get naked.
Just get naked when you get drunk and have people point and laugh at your small penis. It's much more interesting at that.
I hate it when that happens. Naked Carl, though, I think would be so cool, because even if it's just a chapter, I'm already manifesting Carl's next book, but even if it's just
creating a fictional character.
Topic. No, your life, because it could be like Naked Carl in the physical sense, and now you're naked by sharing.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Change
the whole
world.
nickname, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
From the outside to the inside. It's interesting. So, okay, party people or ex-party people, I think that's all the time that we have for today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, comment, engage with us. We really want to know what you think of these things. We really want to know your stuff. Did you get naked and run around the 405 freeway? I want to know about it. Is there footage? Can you send us a link? Because that would be kind of cool. And then the other thing is, don't forget that this machine takes money to run, and of course, please, by all means, there is soberpod.com. You go there, you can give a donation, or you can join as a member, and then at that membership, you get access to articles and other behind the scenes things. You can also get PDF of the book, but don't tell anybody, it's a secret. And then so there's other things that you can get if you do that. And again, the best way to support the podcast is to buy the book or our books. So if you go to thespiritvigilante.com and buy the book there, or if you go to soberpod.com, and you can get access to, by the way, there's two books. There is the 366 effing days sober, and then there's a companion journal as well. So you can get both of those if you're a baller, and you really want to start writing about your own shit, you can do it that way. So, Lindsey, do you have anything going on in the world that's real world?
I do, and I do think it's relevant for this space, and I think I brought it up last time. My creation station every Wednesday, like midweek, midday. I host a group of people where we work on something that it could be a writing, it could be organizing your books by color because that's something you've always wanted to do. And just for an hour, we kind of work together, but independently on that thing. And you're committing yourself to a distraction-free hour. So it's just kind of like a thing to do virtually in community and have that support and accountability, because that's what I need. And it was born out of me carving out 1 hour a week just to write. And so I was like, maybe other people want to carve out 1 hour a week just for something they can do with their hands. Yeah. So, yeah, that's called Creation Station. And I have such a silly name, but it really, to me, it's like the train is always going. Let's stop it at the station for just an hour and see what we can figure out when we're not in motion with all the distractions of life going by us in the window. So, yeah, so there's that. And then
how do I sign up for that?
I mean, maybe a link in the show notes if Carl's so generous enough, or just going to my Instagram at Spirit Vigilante is the best way to find that stuff, because most everything there's a link in my profile for. But I just want to say thank you for prompting me, Carl, to share my story in a way, because I know that I don't do that enough. And if I practice what I preach, I believe our stories are medicine. And so anyone who wants to share theirs, even if it's just with Carl and I through a message, you're every time you share your story and stand up and show your soul in this world, I think it's one of the bravest things you can do. And it really is a contribution to others and an act of service.
And I once heard, this is the only disease you can talk to death. So, it does help me too, right, to be able to continue to talk it to death. And it's so easy to forget. Like, you get 10, 11 years, and it's how easy is it to forget, like, oh, shit, yeah, that was me. Like, that worried version of me, like looking in the toilet at the black coffee grounds that were blood coming out of my asshole, that I go, who was that dude? You know what I mean? Like, who's that dude that just said, yeah, I'm just going to flush that and go get a rum and Coke right now? Like, that just blows my mind a little bit. So, yeah, it's sometimes hard to remember that is my reality. That's who I am. It's where I'm from. And, you get some time behind you. It's so easy to forget. So telling people definitely helps me too, right? But hearing it as well as other people say it and other people write it, responding. Like I've been posting on Reddit a lot, and more recently this year. I love that. And people are just engaging, and I love that. I love seeing people like starting to write back and say, "Oh yeah, me too," or whatever, or "Yeah, I have a hard time doing that right now." It's like, fuck, that's just so wonderful, because I'm not the only one. And so sharing that truth, more so when people respond back and say, "Yeah, I have a hard time with that too." God, that gives me hope even at 11 years in, because man, I got shit figured out. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, yeah, I got more shit figured out, but I still have shit that I need to do, and stuff that still troubles me,
And how much more fulfilling is that connection than somebody at a bar telling me I'm beautiful? Like, honestly, like you can't even compare the two of that person saying, I relate, I see you. And it's so valuable I'm really glad you brought this up, because it's so valuable to revisit those versions of ourselves while also honoring them. And at the beginning of my book, I just want to read, I say, I dedicate it to, it says, for every version of yourself who has kept you going through this wild, beautiful, terrifying, incredible life, I see you. And so Carl and I are witnessing you right now in this version of yourself, which is already so much stronger than you think. And a beautiful version of yourself, even if it's messy. And so,
especially if it's messy, actually.
Especially if it's messy. And that's why I say, while I do have like these flashbacks to mortifying, humiliating moments, I'm doing something with my story, and that's what helps me alchemize it from like shame and regret to medicine, right?
Yeah. And the reason why I listened to these podcasts early on in recovery, when I was doing the same thing, is because I didn't have the words to communicate. I didn't have all this stuff that now I do. And so when people are listening to us, it's like it's like you're getting these things as you listen as well. So it's definitely something that I had to do in order to to communicate. They say like any fool can learn from his own experiences, but it's the wise person who learns from others. And that's kind of what this is all about. It's like, because at some point, one of you out there is going to do what I did. You're going to hear this podcast and go, I don't really like that flavor. I want to make it this way, right? And then you're going to take all that stuff and you're going to beg and borrow and steal and come up with your own version. You're going to give it to somebody else. And it's just how this works. This is how this tradition of recovery has worked since its inception, basically. So I hope that people continue to do that stuff. Okay, that's enough being stupid and hopeful. So Lindsey, what do you say to the kind, loving, vivacious, and messy people out there?
Trust your truth.
And I say stay active, stay sober, and
See ya.
Goodbye, motherfuckers.
Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.
Soberpod.com. Yeah. It was a sight to see him. Breakfast with Sprite and Seagrams. Wrestling with my vices, exercising my demons. My blessings were blocked, so I never got the message. I'm stressing, I'm only 12 steps from an exit. Regret it, because my imperfections were perfected. I ain't run from it, I accept it and rep it. It's a badge to me, good stories come from a tragedy. And when you survive, the glory will come in Act 3. The wait's over, 366 days sober. Morning affirmations that can start the day for you. Use my favorite bookmark for a placeholder. Finish when the day's over. Okay. Yeah, sober pod, keep it authentic, no facades. If it's real, then you know it's ours. Welcome.